dang, the difference in the wind between when we walked across that road. Okay, we're good.
See my little rhubarb? Now, I want to point out, there's an important thing about this little rhubarb plant. First of all, it was planted just this year, and it was never irrigated. Well, I think I came by and peed on it once. But other than that, it's never been irrigated. And here it is, September. Usually a rhubarb plant's gone dormant by now, and it'll be non-existent. But it's like finding plenty of water, and it's doing great. And this isn't even a hugelkultur bed. This is just a berm, just a dirt pile. But a couple of important things is when you have a dirt pile, a berm like this, it brings a lot of benefits. And one of them is that it's going to reduce the wind dramatically. Because like I can look up and I can see we have wind right now, but like, are you seeing wind blow on this thing here?
See, at the top I can see a lot of motion, and yet I don't feel any breeze down here. It's not bothering the camera at all.
And wind is desiccating and cooling. And we live in Montana. Oh, there's a good breeze up there. Do you see anything down here? Not a stitch, nothing. So what happens is that the moisture doesn't get extracted from here as easily. There's some mulchy looking things here, but there's also a lot of exposed dirt. Now, this dirt was just dirt. It was not soil. It's like the stuff that we're standing on, and a lot of rocks. So not a lot of good stuff in here, but we just reshaped it to reduce the wind, and things are doing very well.
You've got a pole bean.
Oh, we've got a bunch
and
of
it's
things.
got beans on it. And it's
Part
still
of what we've
alive.
done is we've planted a bunch of different seeds in here, and this was not the first year, but the second year. And things, but this is like far away from where we normally do anything. And so this is like not in our zone 1 or our zone 2. This is more like zone 3. We really haven't gotten down here to do much in the way of gardening. The most that we're trying to do is build soil. So we put seeds in here, and it's kind of like, all right, all you little seeds, you're not getting irrigated, you're on your own. Good luck.
You've got them all over. All the way up you've got pole beans.
And yet they've not done well. I mean, basically,
But they're alive. I mean, the fact that they're alive, that they came up, that they're alive is significant.
it is. To get anything to grow at all,
Yeah.
anything is a large positive. But I guess the point I'm trying to make is like, there's one other thing that's really important. There's so many people, they buy a few acres right next to a road. And you kind of hear, there's a road over there. But the thing is that this berm has eliminated probably 90% of the sound from the road. Because people buy a property next to a road, but what they really want is a sanctuary. But that road just kind of sucks all of the joy out of their sanctuary. And so the thing that we have here is like, okay, it's not a perfect solution, but it does improve things a lot. And we're going to do a bunch of other things that I think we are going to get to like a 99% solution in about 7 more years. Part of it's going to be growing a lot of growies. But with all of the things that did grow, it improved the organic matter inside this pile of dirt and sand. So eventually this is going to become soil. Different things will do better. And so as we go down, here's another rhubarb. You can kind of see some of our cool crops. Here's a transplanted tree. I don't normally like to transplant. Okay, this is an apple. I don't like transplanted trees, especially apples. I'd far prefer to grow apples from seeds. And I'll show you a few that we've started with that. But, you know, to kind of get things started a little bit, some people brought in some apples, some people donated some apples, and we're getting a bunch of different fruit trees just kind of started and planted. And then, again, good luck, you're on your own, I hope you live. But there's some things about like, oh, you can't possibly grow things without irrigation. And it's like, not only is this not irrigated, but this is terrible soil. And it's only like, what, maybe 20% mulched? And it's like, things are growing. Now, maybe 4 years from now, this will be more like soil and it'll be 100% mulched. And then you'll have your full garden growing here. So we'll let it take its sweet time. In the meantime, it's serving many, many, many functions. It's giving us a little additional privacy, a little bit more solitude, a little bit more a beautiful experience than the view we would have looking at a county road.
Mm-hmm.
You recognize these?
Uh-huh.
So the sunchokes that are up along there, I think we first planted those last year, and I'm surprised that they're alive. Last year was an extremely dry year, and I thought they'd all die, but look, they all came back. They're doing great. It just shows, and plus that's the top part of the berm where it's the driest. So the moisture tends to come down here, and the moisture will be down here. Look at how much happier this sunchoke is. Mm-hmm. And I think this was not here last year. I think it planted itself. And look how much happier it is down here where it's got a lot more moisture than up there. Although that one spot right there is kind of a mystery. Why is that one?
Well, it's like you said with the different textures, that you create a spot, you plant things, and whatever wants to grow there will grow there. It doesn't all have to be homogeneous.
Take a look at this plant right here. See how the leaves are kind of a light color?
Yeah.
And some of the leaves, there's some kind of speckling on this leaf. That's less than a healthy thing. Here's some leaves that are looking really poor. Now we can go and do analysis on every little bit of this plant in order to figure out what it is that it needs. But there's a variety of approaches here. The one thing I want to point out is that there is something I could do for this plant right now that would solve 90% of its problems and make it strong and vibrant. Got a guess?
You could pee on it?
Pee on it. You could totally pee on it. And that would, I mean, this plant here, this is a squash plant. So it's going to be a nitrogen pig. It's a nutrient pig. It's going to be like, just give me everything and I will gobble it all up. And then the light colored leaves are generally an indicator of low in nitrogen. But I mean, there's a much, much, much richer story. Really, all the soil right in this particular place is very poor. So I'm amazed that this plant's doing this well right here. But peeing on it would solve 90% of its problems. Coming by and peeing on it every day would be even better.
Would it not kill it, really?
Not that.
Squash are such a hog?
Because squash are such hogs. There are some plants, it's like if you got a plant right here, and it's like, let's say it's not a hog, let's say it's not a nutrient hog, I might pee right here once a week. And I wouldn't pee all the way around. And then that way the plant takes up what it wants, and if it's too much, it'll back away and it still has all this other area over here. But with something like a squash or corn, almost any kind of grass or grain, nettles, which are kind of hard to pee on nettles. But there's a lot of things. Willows, cottonwoods, these are what we call poop beasts. They just suck that stuff in. Just gimme, 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 gimme. They'll take in as much as they can get. So this is a great one. This is a great place to come and pee.
I'm going to use that for a title, Poop Beast. I think that might be what I call this video.
Rhubarb, also a poop beast. It'll take in everything that you can give it. So
we did a stupid thing at our first place. I planted squash at the base of all my beginner fruit trees.
Oh, that's not good.
They never snapped out of it.
Rhubarb would be great to plant with a tree, even though it's also a pig. It's like rhubarb gets along with trees better. Comfrey, of course, is the most famous one to plant at the base of fruit trees. There's a long list of amazing, I mean, they call them guild species, and different plants have different guild species that they like. So, and part of it is that if you go and that car is cramping my
He's
spine.
a close one.
A lot of this is that if you come along here and you add lots of diversity, like you're going to have some spots that have a lot of urine, have a lot of nutrients, and some spots that don't, and you have some spots that are going to end up with a lot of carbon, and some spots with a lot of nitrogen, and some spots with a high pH, some spots with low pH, some spots with little water, and some spots with a lot of water. All this diversity, and then you just spread your seeds willy-nilly, everything takes off where it does well, especially when the soil gets better and better and better.
And what I'd like you to explain, if you don't mind, is why do you call it, because I know the answer, Wheaton Labs. It's not called Wheaton Farms. It's Wheaton Labs.
I am bonkers about experimentation to begin with. So we call it Wheaton Labs so we can continue to do experiments. I bought the land with the idea of I've got things in my head I want to try, and I just need to find out if they work or not. So for me it's more about the experimentation. What can we do? What can we accomplish? And I want to at least try. And now we've had some things where we've tried many times and not had success, but I kind of feel like, no, we could try 20 more times and then find out what it takes to get this to work. So there's a lot of experimenting going on. We have a lot of failures. I mean, for every success, we probably have 4 failures. But we're building our knowledge set and we are moving forward. It's just a lot of hard work to move forward.
And so when people come here to be woofers or to be gappers, and they're like, where are your food systems? What you're building is something that's meant to be self-propagating and alive and a infrastructure, because otherwise it's all just annual agriculture.
I would say that, yeah, we want to build a perennial system. We want a system where the annuals will reseed themselves. I think most people have experienced volunteer tomatoes. I didn't plant that, it just showed up. And then they get more productivity out of their volunteers than they do out of the tomatoes that they planted. So we want to create those kinds of food systems, but at the same time, we're creating natural building structures. We dug out this parking lot. We built this berm. I mean, we're doing a lot of major earthworks. There's all kinds of projects that we're doing simultaneously. And when people come and say, where are all your food systems? Then my answer to that is that, well, we've got 10 years to get food systems going, and we're 3 years in. So everything is still under construction. This particular place, it's like in order to get a good food system here, and we've pulled out probably last year, I bet we got 100 pounds of food out of this, without any irrigation. So part of it is that we are experimenting with growing food without any irrigation, without any fertilizer, without any of this. But this is just such low quality dirt that it's kind of amazing that we're getting anything out of it at all. But to get a food system, really, what we need to do is we need to get this to be good soil, well mulched, well tended, well gardened, and then it will produce more food. Part of what would make it an awesome food system is going to be able to do a paddock shift system and move animals through here in a pulse system. And in order to do that, we need to still build the fence. The other thing is we have a lot of deer and a lot of wild turkeys and a lot of other wild critters, and we need to at least keep the deer and the wild turkeys out. Fence again. So we need to build the fence, but instead of building the fence, we've been building other things. So there's a long ways to go.